After losing my first pregnancy, this baby felt like everything. Absolutely everything I had been looking for, waiting for, and more. And at the same time, it was the biggest identity shift that I had ever experienced. Hi, my name is Lydia, and I share real stories about transition because we all know change is what happens around us. But transition is what happens within us. And sometimes the biggest transitions in our lives don't come with language, they just changes. Well, this was my first child, my first baby, the one who made me be called a mother, finally. And nothing in my life up to this point had prepared me for what that would feel like. Not physically, not emotionally, not even mentally. And I didn't know it then, but this was one of the biggest transitions of my life. Becoming a mother. Any mother here would relate. It is a transition that you can never describe to anyone. You can't put it into words adequately. Nothing can describe it or give it justice. No words can. I was excited. I was elated. I was transformed, maybe. I don't know. It's too many words to describe it. Now, layer this on top of that. I was in a new country. My husband has just got back from deployment. I had been on bed rest for the entire 9 months. I'll interject here a little bit and just say, I had what doctors call an incompetent cervix. And I didn't know that is what even caused my first pregnancy. If you listened to, I think that was chapter 4 where we talked about that part. It affects about 1% of the entire world's population. So it's not something very common, but I'm very lucky that by the time I got my second pregnancy and I explained to the doctor how I lost my first pregnancy, she was able to relate and say, oh, let's do this, let's check your cervix, so that is what made them realize I had an incompetent cervix. And so everything was put in motion to make sure I was going to have this child. So I was put on bed rest the entire 9 months. Now, my family was not there. Remember, I'm in a new country, and by that time my husband was deployed, so I was just alone. Well, the realization was that I was not just becoming a mother. Other feelings were there too. I think I was becoming a mother without my foundation. But the it's not funny, but the interesting thing is that I was not alone physically. I had support, what I would consider absolutely strong support. I had a church community, people I loved and adored, and people that loved and adored me. Excuse me. We spent most of our Saturdays together. They had they organized a baby shower for me even in the absence of my husband. They helped me move from the apartment that I was in that I didn't like into another apartment in the absence of my husband. So, oh my God, this were my people. We had created a strong bond and there was love shared. They showed up for me in ways that I will never ever forget, ever. Yet there's something that was missing. That support is not the same as familiarity. So what was I missing? Really? It was a kind of support that knows you without explanation. Do you know how a mother connects with a child? Or how you connect with your sister? Someone who has been like your best friend for 10 years? My mother, and a true anchor in my life was not there. At time I really wanted to share this special moment with my family. I'm very close to my brother. Like, I'd imagined this moment would be them next to me, us, glowing and sharing. My culture too was not in here. I felt, yeah. If you know what I mean, I hope. And then sometimes, something else I really had not fully admitted to myself. I had not imagined this version of motherhood. I didn't imagine being home full time. In my previous life, I'd imagined, I didn't imagine I could pause my career. The pause had already come a year or two before, but with motherhood, I thought, oh, this was going to be a time that I could, work-life balance. Whatever we imagine in our heads. I didn't imagine my world becoming this small. Like, I would completely be immersed in motherhood. Not that if I had a job, I would not be completely immersed, but I didn't imagine that was something I was going to do full time. Where I came from, I know there's about 3 months of maternity leave, paid maternity leave. So in my brain, that's what life should have been like. Working and then coming back home, taking the leave, coming back home to my kids and stuff like that. We had, in Kenya, there's mostly 24/7 help. There's someone you're either paying, or there's a sister, brother, cousin. There's a lot of communal living going around. So I had never imagined motherhood alone. So when I say I felt trapped, it was it was really not because I didn't love my baby. I absolutely adored this little thing. Just took over everything. It was because I didn't recognize my life. And I didn't know it then. But this was a big transition, motherhood, layered on top of another transition, identity. I had just done a life-changing thing. Motherhood had come into my life, a beautiful baby boy. My identity was shifting. I feel like I'm a mother who doesn't have the support system that she needs, her mother, her family, her culture. And she also is lacking in terms of financial, she's lacking in terms of the financial side. She doesn't have a job, and so she's feeling like, what happens if there's nobody else, like a husband, to take care of me and the child? The other transition was my environment. Oh my God. There was everything shifting at the same time. And layered transition is not easy. When multiple transitions happen at once, your system really doesn't process them separately. It experiences them as overwhelm. You're overwhelmed with the joy, grief, sadness. You're elated. You're exhausted. You're confused. Sometimes you're angry. You're anxious. You're unsure of what's happening. There's a lot. This is something that I also have to say. I felt guilty for wanting space. I felt guilty for wanting help. I felt guilty for wanting parts of my old life back, or the expectations that I had that this was supposed to be like this. And I did not have the language for all these feelings. Now, the reason I felt guilty was that I was not working. Here I am in a new country. I'm being supported, and there's no time at any point that my husband ever made me feel like because I was not working, I was less than, or I was not like useful. They never. It was just inward, my own personal expectations on myself and the things I had thought, the way I thought my life would pan out. Right now, childcare in America is different. I told you about the 24/7 help that's available in Kenya, where I come from. Not very costly. So the average house, whether you say rich or poor, always has some help. And then coming to a place where wanting to find this childcare, number one, is cumbersome. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of commitment that's expected of you. There's not just like I can drop my child off for a simple 2 hours so I can go to the mall or go do some grocery shopping. This baby had to be part of my life every single minute. And I felt guilty for wanting that space and even exploring what childcare options would be, and thinking to myself, I'm not working, and here I am wanting to spend our money on giving someone to take care of my child or our child. Do you relate? I don't know if you relate. I felt guilty for wanting that help. Or even saying that sometimes I'm overwhelmed, I just need 3 hours. Of course, sometimes someone will say, oh, the baby was sleeping. And it's not the same as just not having the baby in your head. There's a lot that you process at that moment. All these transitions came too many at the same time. And most of the time I found myself so overwhelmed. I'd just be seated in a corner somewhere and my tears will be flowing without even me thinking that I'm in an emotional state where I'm sad or I just suddenly felt like something. I was like, what's going on? And I didn't catch it then. I really did not catch what was going on. I share these stories a lot because many of us go through a lot of things, but we never ever get to name them. We never ever get to say, we never get to hear, oh, this was it. So I do so you can't relate. If you are becoming a mother or becoming anything new in a season where everything else is also shifting, slow down your expectations of yourself. You're not adjusting to one thing. You are adjusting to many. You're not failing to cope. You're navigating multiple transitions at once. And then the hardest part. Oof. And this wasn't temporary. The military life. Because military life would make this kind of instability normal. If you're a military spouse, you would know it, particularly you're married to a US military service member, a veteran, whatever. Oh my gosh. Well, I've spilled it out. It's out there. Motherhood can be a mixture of feelings. Don't feel guilty for any of them. All in all, becoming you is really not one big moment. It is a series of transitions, and the ones that changes most are the ones we really don't even realize we are in. Let me know if motherhood changed you in ways you didn't expect. Tell me about it in the comments. And really, not the perfect versions, the real ones, the ones people don't talk about. And if this resonates with you, stay with me, because the next part of this story is where instability became a pattern, but I will share a lot more about what happened. And slowly I will start talking about some of the tools that I have developed, some tools that I have used before that, if in those situations, they would really, really be of help. So Thank you for sticking around. See you in the next one, which is coming tomorrow. This is season 5, remember. This is where the real identity collapse happened. So everything is in one playlist. It's in the comments below. You can find all the videos from this series, from this what is this series? Not series. Season. Pardon me. There are other seasons. This is season 5. You can go all the way back to season 1 and start watching. I'm playing life from childhood all the way to where I am today, just so that we can pick out where transitions are and see how we can just move through life with more clarity, with more understanding, and with just, empathy for ourselves and others. See you tomorrow.